We are back. This is Ryan Moon on Parlay News, where we are covering the hottest sports prediction markets on Kalshi right now. Our show today is about how the Sweet 16 showdown between St. John's and Duke has ignited absolute betting mayhem with over $842,000 in market action. Can a team built entirely on chaos actually beat talent when it matters most? St. John's versus Duke, Friday night, Sweet 16. And right now on Kalshi, there's $842,000 riding on the answer to that question. That's not just the biggest sports market on the platform this week. It's bigger than the next closest game by 600 grand. When traders are putting up that kind of volume, they're not just betting on basketball, they're betting on philosophy. Here's what makes this fascinating. Duke should win this game. They're more talented, they shoot better, they take care of the ball, they've got the pedigree, the coaching, the execution. On paper, this is straightforward. But here's the thing that should make your ears perk up. The St. John's contract is pulling $491,000 in volume. Duke's pulling $351. That's a $140,000 gap. In peer-to-peer markets, when the underdog side is trading heavier than the favorite, that's not noise, that's a signal. So let me paint you the picture of what's actually happening here. Duke enters this tournament carrying baggage, dominant regular seasons ending in March faceplants. The narrative has been relentless. Can this program still win when it matters? Every possession they execute cleanly is a referendum. Every time they break pressure without coughing up the ball, they're making a statement about whether disciplined, fundamental basketball still works in an era defined by pace and chaos. For their veteran core, this is personal. They came to Duke specifically to restore championship contention. They've spent the season hearing about soft schedules, hearing questions about whether their wins meant anything. March is where you answer those questions. There's no hiding anymore. St. John's represents the opposite end of the spectrum. They're chaos merchants. They pressure full court. They gamble for steals. They turn defense into instant offense before you can blink. This program has spent decades in the wilderness watching Villanova and UConn collect rings while they rebuilt. A win over Duke, especially a chaotic, turnover-fueled upset, announces that St. John's is back. The media loves this storyline. Scrappy underdog with nothing to lose versus traditional power with everything to prove. David versus Goliath, except David is pressing full court and jacking pull-up threes in transition. Here's Duke's path to victory. Make it boring. That sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. They want 55 to 60 possessions, not 70. They accomplish this by breaking pressure cleanly, valuing the ball, making St. John's play defense for 25 seconds, forcing them to work harder than they want to. If Duke can operate in the half court with their talent advantage, this game is over. They get quality rim looks. They win the free throw margin by 8 to 12 attempts. They don't foul. They don't gamble. They make St. John's beat them with contested jumpers. The danger for Duke is the turnover snowball. If they cough it up 3 or 4 times in a 6-minute stretch, St. John's builds a lead that creates pressure. Once Duke is chasing, they're playing St. John's game. Add in 3-point variance. If St. John's goes 7 for 15 from deep, that's 21 points in a 70-point game. And suddenly the math changes fast. Throw in early foul trouble on Duke's rim protector, and St. John's will attack relentlessly. St. John's needs this to be a war. They need 8 to 10 extra possessions through turnovers and offensive rebounds. Non-negotiable. If they play a normal possession game, Duke's talent wins. They need to generate transition opportunities because they're exponentially more dangerous in the open floor than half court. They need to take 25 to 28 threes. If they hit 9 or 10, they're probably winning. This is variance positive for the underdog.
Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai.
But here's St. John's vulnerability. If Duke forces them into 20-second half-court possessions, can they consistently generate quality shots? History says no. Most pressure teams struggle when they can't create transition. If St. John's starts 2 for 11 from 3, they might abandon their game plan and try to play Duke style, which is exactly what Duke wants. Now let's talk about the markets within this game, because this is where it gets interesting for traders. If you believe St. John's pressure is the story, there are derivative plays. First half under. St. John's needs the game chaotic, but chaos early often means lower scoring as both teams adjust. Duke's first half team total under might have value if you think they'll struggle early with turnovers before settling in. There's also the turnover prop markets. St. John's creating 14 plus turnovers is the entire thesis for their upset path. On the Duke side, if you think they execute their game plan, look at their free throw attempt total over. When Duke plays disciplined and attacks the rim against gambling defenses, they get to the line. That's a leading indicator even if the score is close. You could also look at pace props. Total possessions under if you think Duke successfully slows this down. The player markets matter too. Duke's primary ball handler usage rate and assist total. If he's breaking pressure cleanly, his numbers should be there. St. John's top scorer 3-point attempt total. They need volume from their best shooter to have a chance. Here's where I see the mispricing. If St. John's forces 6 to 8 turnovers in the first 12 minutes and leads by 4 to 6 points, Kalshi's live market will overreact. Public traders will see chaos working and pile on, pushing St. John's price higher than fundamentals justify. But early turnover variance often regresses. Duke's half-court offense is elite. If they settle down and execute, their talent advantage reasserts itself. The first 12 minutes are high variance. The final 28 minutes reveal true talent. So if you're watching live and St. John's jumps from 40% pregame to 55+% after an early chaos run, consider fading it. Key indicators that support the fade. Duke's turnover rate stabilizes. St. John's three-point shooting looks unsustainable, like 4 for 6 early means regression is coming, and Duke is getting to the free throw line even if they're behind. The other mispricing angle is foul trouble. College basketball officiating creates predictable volatility. When a key player picks up their second foul before the 10-minute mark of the first half, their team's win probability drops, but Kalshi's live market often takes 3 to 5 minutes to fully adjust. Most traders watch the scoreboard, not the box score. Foul trouble is a leading indicator affecting the next 20-plus minutes, but the scoreboard only shows right now. If Duke's starting center picks up 2 quick fouls and Duke's price hasn't moved 3 to 5 percentage points within 2 minutes, there's edge to take St. John's. Foul trouble forces lineup changes, defensive passivity, rotation disruption. These effects compound, but the immediate scoreboard impact might be zero. That's information arbitrage. You have data the market hasn't priced yet. The edge window is typically 2 to 5 minutes.
Oh, hey, friend. Do you like what you're hearing? Now you can have a ridiculously amazing podcast, too. Check out holler.studio to get yourself one today.
Here's my actual position on the main market. If Duke is priced at 58 to 62% on Kalshi, I'm leaning St. John's small. That volume signal, 491k on St. John's versus 351k on Duke, is too strong to ignore. Duke's profile as structured, tempo-controlling favorite is exactly the type that gets upset in March when an opponent creates chaos and hits shots. If Duke is priced at 66% or higher, I'm taking Duke. At that price, you're getting fair value on the more talented team with the clearer path to victory. If Duke is priced at 63 to 65%, pass or wait for lineup news. The market is probably efficient there. The correct price is probably 63 to 65% Duke. Any meaningful deviation from that range offers value. This is a stylistic matchup where small factors, early foul trouble, shooting variance in the first 10 minutes, turnover margin, swing the outcome significantly. Before you trade, verify starting lineups via beat reporters 60 to 90 minutes before tip. Check sportsbook consensus spread and moneyline. Compare implied probability to Kalshi. Scan for late injury news. Review Kalshi price movement in the final 60 minutes because sharp late movement indicates new information. Calculate your edge after fees. So back to our opening question. Can chaos beat talent when it matters most? The answer is yes, but only if chaos creates enough extra possessions to neutralize the talent gap and only if variance breaks the right way at the right time. St. John's can absolutely win this game, but they need 8 things to go right. Duke only needs 3. That's the difference between betting on chaos and betting on structure. The market is telling us it's closer than it should be, and when $42,000 is screaming that loudly, you better be listening. Thanks for listening to Parlay News. You can support our podcast by following the show, rating it 5 stars, and telling your friends. Remember, the content on this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and do not constitute financial advice. Prediction markets are extremely risky, and you should never play with more money than you are willing to lose. Always do your own research. Catch you on the flip.
Grep News. Tamez.